right, this Nextcloud thing has been quite the love-hate relationship. I love it. It hates me when I go to update. I recently got pushed chart version 2.0.6. So prior version it was like 159, and then 161 started getting a little buggy for me. And then when I upgraded to 2, it just completely broke. So luckily they've got great documentation on the documentation hub. I will link that because it took me a hot minute to find it. If you are more of a read and follow through each individual instruction type of person, you'll have that reference there for you. If you're more of a visual, you can follow along with me. The biggest thing that I had to do was completely delete my old instance first. No matter what I try to do to follow the upgrade path, none of it was working. So if you got a bunch of important files on there, don't nuke your whole file system. Copy those over, and then find your Nextcloud app, hit delete, and physically delete the application itself. Collabora, if you've already got that running, that can stay there, that's fine. If this is a new install for you, it should be even easier. The biggest change is the way that the data sets are managed. So you're going to have to go in your navigation pane here on the left, go to data sets, and right on your top level, you're going to have to create an app data folder or data set. So all you do to do that is top right corner here, click add data set, and I called mine app data. So you're going to type in whatever the name is here, following the correct format, of course. Everything just leave as inherit until you get down to this bottom share type. Change that from generic to apps. Otherwise, this whole thing will not work. So that's very important. Just go apps and then hit save. What that will get you is a folder or a data set called app data. From there, I created a subfolder called Nextcloud because I wasn't sure if I was going to use this for other things down the line, and I very well may. So skipped a step. You don't want to skip this step just in case. I've done this about 4 or 5 times, so this worked for me, so I don't want to skip it. So let me move my fat face out of the way here. Nope, wrong button. So down here on the bottom right where you've got permissions, I added the user apps and the group apps. When you select apps, it adds one of them. Just add the other one. So go into edit, and I believe it adds the user apps. I also added the group apps. So you will just click add item, then say group, and then just start typing in apps. Boom, allow, hit save access control list or ACL, and then you can move on to part 2. All right, let me move my face back over here. Oh, damn it, wrong button again. Okay, now that we've got app data figured out, now you want to select app data, do the same thing, add a data set, top right. You're going to call that one Nextcloud and do the same thing, add it as apps in that share type. Once you've got that, you're going to add 5 more. So those need to be named. 4 of them need to be named this exact thing. One needs to be called app data. APPDATA. You're going to add another one called Collabora data, and I'll show you where to add that later. The third one's going to be called PG backup, and that's for Postgres or the database that these apps use. So that's a backup to that. And then PG data is number 4, and then user data is number 5. And this is where all of your actual files are going to be saved. I did do a little bit of experimentation. You can't just drag and drop your old files in there through a Samba share or anything like that. You need to physically do it through Nextcloud, which is fine. You can still just drag and drop and do that stuff in there. But I just wanted to see if it would refresh and work, and it does not. So you need to add and subtract things actually through the Nextcloud environment for it to show up. But that'll all be in your user data in the traditional format that we are used to. So once you get those 5 added, you have to do the same thing for all of these. So you're going to add them, set the share type as apps, and then make sure that you add that user and group. Now you'll notice that you won't notice because my face is in the way again. As I go through these, it does some weird stuff once it actually goes through and install. It's going to change the owner from root to www data on some of these. It's going to do all that on its own. The Postgres backup is still owned by root. But this was the only way I could get it to work. Here, this Postgres data owner is netdata, and the group is Docker. So it's doing its own configuration stuff in the background once it's up and running. But set everything as it should. Every single thing that you add from the beginning should say owner, root, group, root, and then owner, group, root, group built-in users, group built-in administrators, user apps, group apps, for allow and special on everything straight through, and you shouldn't have any issues. Once you get all that out of the way, and that's really the hard part, is figuring out all that crap. Then it's just the same as usual. You go to apps. If you need to add Collabora, you go discover apps, Collabora, add the Truenas version, the True Charts version. For whatever reason, I could not get that to work with the Truenas version of Nextcloud. So there's still some tweaking to be done there. And the only things that you need to put in there are your time zone, username and password, and then all the way down at the bottom, you're going to add your additional storage. So this is where we created that Collabora data folder just a moment ago. So additional storage here. Let me move my face. If I could ever find the right window, there it is. Move my face out of the way. So additional storage. All we're going to do is we're going to tell it it's a host path, and we're going to navigate to that Collabora data folder that we just created. So boom, click that, click save, and away you go. Or install if it's your first time. From there, you'll be able to launch the web portal, make sure that it is working. Cool, it comes up, 0 users online, whatever, that's fine. Now, for installing Nextcloud, same thing. You will go up to Discover Apps, type in Nextcloud, install the Truenas version. Now, there's some crucial steps that you need to follow in this install, otherwise it definitely will not work. So, admin username and user password, the host will be filled in for you. You don't have to touch anything else. Your cron jobs will be enabled automatically. The web port should be filled in. You will have to say certificate. Certificate will be blank. Select the Truenas default certificate. Otherwise, it'll start giving you errors and nothing will want to work right. So make sure you enable that Truenas default certificate. Then under storage, you've got to find those 4 folders that you just created. So this first one is Nextcloud app data. So we select host path, it'll pop up with our list here, and then we just navigate down to app data. You do the same thing with the next one. Now, the only complaint about all of this is the spacing isn't the greatest here, so you've really got to find the next thing that it's talking about. So Nextcloud user data. So user data is in this one, select host path, and then drill down until you get to user data and select that. So you want to do that for all of them. The Postgres data, you're going to do that same thing, and the Postgres backup storage, you're going to do that same thing. Then additional storage, if you want to do that, I still have an old Nextcloud folder in here from my old file structure layout. It's up to you how you want to roll with that. This is working fine for me, and I like having it in my regular Samba share. So it's fine. So you'll click update or launch or whatever if it's your first time running it. That will get you to this. It does take a minute to deploy. It's not as long as the previous versions for deploying, but again, you might have to hold shift while hitting F5 or refresh just to get it to change on this screen from deploying to running. Once it finally gets to running, it's just the same as normal. You open up your web portal. It'll have you log into your generic login screen, and you can go from there. So I've been tinkering a little bit, and it's definitely a cool software suite. So I've just added the maps and what they call the deck. It's like a to-do list or a Kanban system, if you will. So you can add cards. We had fiber internet installed today, so I've still got to place the new router and switch. I've still got to run cable to the new access points. So just experimenting a little bit. You can do some fun stuff like that. You can have a Google-like calendar running. It's everything seems pretty cool in here. But the main thing that I foresee myself using it for is file sharing. So just dragging and dropping and sharing files wherever you are. You're not tied to anything as long as I've got access to this via Tailscale on whatever device I'm using. It works from there. So I will say I haven't figured out quite yet. It's slightly off screen. This is showing up as not secure. So that's one last bit, but it's definitely secure because my whole network's locked down, and this is all, I'm only able to access this via Tailscale or when I'm directly on my home network. So I'm not too worried about it, and I don't have anything super crucial on here. I hope this helped some of you. If once you get it up and running, you need to connect the Collabora bit, you'll need to go up to admin in the top right corner and select plus apps. That'll bring you to this apps page. If you scroll down to Office and Text, then just look for the featured, it'll be called Nextcloud Office. You want to click download and enable there. Once that is download and enabled, you'll go back up. On your top right, you're going to have to go to admin and then admin settings. And then you will have to scroll down to Office. And this is where you will say use your own server. So that whole Collabora thing that we set up before on my machine is running on 9980. If you remember this thing. So this is running on port 9980. So you've just got to reference that here and say you're using your own server, and that way you will be able to edit documents, like your typical Microsoft suite, like your Excel, your Word, that type of document, your spreadsheets, your Word documents. And it's a nice, neat package. So, it took me probably 3 hours to figure out how to do all this and get it up and running. So I'm hoping you guys can watch this video and do it in about 20 minutes because I'd rather me be frustrated for a little bit and have you guys actually be able to do it a little bit quicker than me. Sorry, there's not going to be a lot of editing going on in this video. I wanted to get it out nice and quick. It's a beautiful 3-day weekend here in Pennsylvania. Happy Memorial Day. Thank you to all those who served. God bless. Have a good weekend. Like and subscribe for more.